So time has changed. 25 years later, we are here and we have Afro Berlin. And you should support this opportunity. There's a good energy in the room, good vibes. African and Afro-diasporan actors, producers, film people come together and create this opportunity. This is a great chance. So support, get to the website, the Afro Berlin, go to the event tonight at 7:30 at the Embassy of Angola, network, talk to each other, support each other. It's very important. So how do people get in? The casters sit there and you don't know if you get in or not. Are they gatekeepers? Or are they change makers? We are going to discuss that with some heavyweights here on stage. Please welcome Cassandra Han, founder of Cassandra Han Casting USA. Welcome. Luci Lenox, casting director and founder of the Actors Home in Ireland and Spain. Bienvenido. Christopher Simon, producer, CEO of Sparta production in UK. Welcome. And my neighbor from Hamburg, Bradley Iyamu, founder of Black Universe. And this panel is hosted by a very special person. She sings, she's acting, she's producing, she's a talent scout, Caprice Crawford. Here we go, your stage.
Thank you very much. I don't sing, only karaoke. And how do I become the most popular person in the room? By inviting these guys here. You know, we have Bradley here to my right.
Hi, Caprice.
Hello. Do you want to introduce yourself or should I do? I mean, he already did that, basically. Bradley and I know each other ever since. I started my agency about the same time as you did. You are based in Hamburg, so I thought that's no harm. I'm based in Berlin. And I got to meet this guy. So actually, when we started the agency, we just kept communicating, you know? Like, did you hear this? Did he say that? Did you hear that? You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because at that time, I think we didn't have like a lot of agency run by black people. And when I saw Caprice talents, Crawford talents,
yeah.
Sorry, I was like, wow, she's really making it.
Yeah.
One black sister, and I had to support it, even though I got my own agency, but I mean, like, yeah, support our own, right?
Yeah. Thank you. We're going to come back to you. This is Christopher Simon, that I also know for quite a long time right now, who was an actor. He's still acting. Sometimes, if people offer him a role, if anybody has a role for him, is Christopher Simon, who's a powerful producer right now, mega project, based out of UK. Tell us a little bit about your production company.
Yeah, we are based in London. I did start out as an actor, as it happens, but I think once an actor, you're always an actor, and I'm not really a producer. I'm just acting. Yeah, our company makes independent films, and yeah, what else?
I'll come back to you.
Yeah.
This is Luci Lenox, award-winning casting director from Ireland, based out of Spain, also Spanish, I guess. You got all the paperwork as well for Spain. And so far, and works in the international market. I'm lucky to have some of my clients in her projects. And yeah, tell me a little bit more about your casting at first.
About my casting. I'm just very happy to be here. I'm very happy to see so many wonderful actors. I'm very happy to be on the stage with these amazing people. I think Afro Berlin is extremely important. We're all storytellers, but I have a degree in history. I have a degree in Black American history, and they always said, on my professor at university's wall, he said, until the lion tells the story, the hunter. It will only be the hunter's story that's told. So it's very important that we tell the lion's story.
That's good. Very last is Cassandra Han, who I know for a long time too. She's probably recognized my agent for like when I opened up the agency around almost 10 years ago. She was probably first of the casters who knocked at the door, and actually I think we had 7 people in the project that we worked on. So I was very happy.
Absolutely, and it was so great to have you there on the scene, you know, in Germany. I mean, we came about the same time, I think. Exactly. But yeah, and she's so proactive. You're amazing, and you were just such a great, and are still always a great resource. So I love working with you.
So,
I'm
but I
super
noticed
happy to be here.
that you work so much with your casting society, you're president of everything. I mean, not of everything, but American Casting Society.
Well, it's actually funny because I'm like president of Global Casting Society, but everybody like doesn't realize that that does not include the U.S. You know, so it's like, everybody's like, "You're the president." I'm like, "No, only global." You know, so but yeah, it's we're doing lots of work also to increase. To give more access. The thing that I feel is that actors don't have fair access to casting directors. So most of what we're doing with Casting Society right now is, for example, going into Japan, going into Turkey, into Egypt. You know, some markets that are where actors just don't have any way to get to casting, and so we're trying to find ways to put every actor the same shot, the same chance. That's the important part. Yeah.
And Africa.
Yeah, we're starting. That's like it's on the thing. It's on the. We are starting. We have a member who is in Ghana, and he does a great program. I don't know if you know about it. This monologue challenge. It's the second year, and they have one actor from every country, and they have a lot of support, and it's an amazing program. And so we're in talks with him to continue and to try to support him because what he's doing is just amazing. Yeah.
But now that we have the different platforms that casters use, for instance, like how does it work with the African market? Do we need to change it? Do we need a different platform?
Well, what I'm hoping to do is allow free access, potentially through filmmakers. We're talking to them, for example, so that they can have a basic platform. And actually, we've just done it in a couple of other places where there were actors that didn't know how to get out to the international market, and so they can have a basic platform for free, which is, a basic profile for free, and you don't need more than a basic profile. It's really fine, and we're working in various markets to make that happen. Egypt being one where the actors there are really saying like that they feel completely shut out, and so we're trying to through that and through it like a 1-minute monologue type of system get many actors in front of casting directors, and then sending CSA members to that place to do like a master class or whatever. So that's kind of what we're doing in various places. And yeah, we're gonna ride on the back in Ghana because he's already doing amazing work.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Worldwide breakdowns. I mean, even they have great projects that they're doing over there, so we can all share that together.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So Bradley, when you started your agency, what were you thinking? Giving the POCs a platform. What were you thinking? What were your thoughts?
I think my first thoughts was I need to support our people because most of the actors and actresses in other agencies are there like this tote Karteileiche. I don't know the English word. Nah, this is a tote Karteileiche, and I said, no, I don't want my people to suffer.
Can I just say something? With the tote Kartei means it wasn't enough jobs for them either, though.
We don't even know about that, but the fact is the fact. We know it anyway. And then I said, okay, I want to support our people because, 2016, I made my first movie and it went in the theaters and it gained some good popularity. And I said, yes, I have to support them and let's do it. And I think around 2016, most of the people I've talked to, they said, it's not quite good to take that kind of name, Black Universe Agency in Germany, and it won't fit in this German media ideology, blah, blah, blah. And I said, if you got a vision, just go for it, and you don't care what other people say. And like almost 10 years later, they all congratulate and say like, my son needs to be in your agency. But a couple of years ago, you said, I'm not sure if you're gonna make it. But we made it, we're here now, we're still here.
Amazing, absolutely.
Christopher, on what basis do you find a casting director for your project that you might be doing?
I think the most important thing with the casting director is finding someone who's kind to actors, someone who cares about and loves actors. Growing up, I was probably in the 90s, I was going through casting myself as an actor, and I think that the kindest ones would always, make you feel at home, get the best out of you. And that's what it's all about, because I think, particularly for international casting, so we work on films in other countries, and finding somebody who's obviously got a local knowledge is really important. But it just comes down to respect and kindness. I think Luci is very kind.
I am.
When it comes to Luci and Cassandra, when it comes to A-list cast, or when somebody like Christopher comes to you and says, my budget is, I don't know, 100,000. I want an A-list cast, I want an A-lister. What do you say? How do you let him down gently and say, you're not going to get an A-list for this, to elevate your project? What are you going to say to him?
No.
No.
No, it's a very complicated thing, and it's part of understanding how the industry works, because it depends on the project. And for me, it depends on the project. If it's a script that's amazing, that is telling a brilliant story, then maybe somebody who means something wants to. I had this conversation yesterday with producers, and I'm just like, let's cast and elevate talent. There's a lot of problems in our industry. One of the problems is how projects get financed, and a lot of the time it's on pre-sales. And for pre-sales, which are all over the world, they want names that are internationally recognized to get the money. They don't make the best films. The best film is when you cast for the right person. But like my conversation yesterday with the producers was like, I'm going to talk as a casting director. I'm not a producer. I don't want to be a producer. So I'm going to tell you how you can have the best cast. You go away and work out how to finance it. If you can't finance it with an A-lister, then you have to enter into the international world. And it's very important that we talk about this from casting, from producers, from agencies, because the films that go on to make the most money, I'm not talking about studio pictures, but in independent films, are not the films where they've spent all the money on an A-lister. They're films that I've cast, like Victoria, one of the most successful financial films. There were no A-listers in it. There was Laia, who's the lead, was unknown, and it went on to make a lot of money. We've done a lot of studies on the money, because unfortunately, I like talking about art. I like talking about story. I like talking about the importance of story. But our industry is governed by money. And we have to respect the money, so you have to work. So mainly, I've sent money back, because I'm always saying, I don't do A-listers. I'm not based in LA. I don't go out to coffee with the guys from CAA. It's not my world. My world is bringing up and discovering talent and working in my country. And I'm really proud of what we are doing in Spain. I think it's a really good example of working slowly but steadily towards more representation. I don't really like the word diversity and inclusion at all, even though I'm on some panels, because it's one world. Our world is very fragile at the moment. It's very, very complicated, but it's our world together, and we have to work together. So the groups that I work with are like the casting directors, with actors, and it's working together to try and make it a better place. So A-listers are not particularly on my good list.
Oh, that's good. Never become an A-lister here.
I love what you're saying, and it's true in an ideal world, but in reality, we do need a few A-listers.
Totally.
And what we try to do is, as producers, is try to cast the financing cast ourselves, and then bring on a casting director. Hopefully we can do it together, but you rely on a casting director to make the alchemy work. And so, and I love having, especially coming from an acting background, not talking about the value of an actor. It just drives me crazy when they've got value. It's just so...
In America, they say, does he move the needle?
Move the needle, that's another one. Me too, but I get it.
But it's the reality, and that's what I'm saying. It is the reality of our world. It's money. Filmmaking is extremely expensive, and you have to find the money somehow. So that's why we need to support it.
Yeah, and how does somebody become an actor of value until they get a job? So it's that kind of crazy conundrum that we're always in. But I will make sure that we find people with a very little experience, even older actors. I think older actors can be sometimes overlooked. So you know, I really make a strong effort to, you know, once we've got our financing cast, to cast as many unknowns as I can with casting directors who have got good taste.
I just wanted to give a little ray of hope because yesterday or a couple days ago we did a panel on like green lighting a project through cast attachments, and I do actually do cast attachments, and I advise European productions because a lot of times I think European producers, the system is so different with the public funding as opposed to the American system, so they don't really know how to approach Americans, how it works, what they want, what they'll look at, what they won't look at. And so, it's really great to work closely with the producers, even in the, early stages. Also because you can work a little bit on the script, because it's sometimes there's just something in the script which isn't quite working from a casting standpoint, which can be fixed, and should be fixed before sending the script to CIA. Otherwise, they'll just do like coverage and it'll be in the basement for the rest of your life. But anyway, I talked to this World Sales representative. She was on our panel, and then she came up afterwards and she said, "We never talk to casting." And she said, "I don't know why we never talk to casting, because we talk about casting all day long, and there's usually a casting director there, but we don't ever communicate." I'm like, "I know, because I just get your lists like no, yes, and there's no reason to, I don't understand the rhyme or reason behind it." But I said, if we talk to each other, we can find a great solution which is creative, which is also a good financial solution to you. And they're like leaving out the creative part of it and just kind of throwing down people that don't make any sense for the project. So, and we can also maybe find some names that are like, good enough for you on a world sales level, but still like, do something creatively like that makes the project work. So I was really excited that she was open to that, because I've never spoken to world sales before. They're always like these people in the sky. And and so that was just, I don't know, I thought that was really great that she was so happy to be in touch with us.
Which sales company?
It was MK2.
Oh, yeah. So we deal with a lot of sales agents. Obviously, we try to, when we've got a script and packaging it up, and we work with any, international sales company. Now, here's the thing. They've always got different lists of those 10, actors that will finance your movie. And they all disagree. I mean, no, they don't all disagree, but there's a lot of...
It seems so random.
I know. But it's just, but that's the thing is it comes out to what Lucy just said, is that you've got to cast what's right. And if you don't cast the right person for the right role, you're going to have a shit movie.
Just money down the tubes. It's just
it might be finance, but yeah.
Yeah, just recently we just, I don't know whether he's here. We're not talk about names, but recently we got an offer from America for German, for EU passport holder, and they did not want to sponsor the O1. So we're thinking, if you want them, you should be able to be sponsoring the O1 instead of us having to get a lawyer. Don't you think?
What's an O1? Oh, the O1 visa, the US visa. Yeah. Oh, sorry, you to get a lawyer, yeah. But I mean, any company will sponsor it, won't they?
No, absolutely. I've never had a production company not do that. It's their job.
I find that wishy-washy. Somebody asks you, you have to get your own lawyer and do all this. I'm like, why do we have to...
That's totally production's job, yeah.
I think so, too.
It is, yeah.
And together with you, of course, you have to help them give the material, whatever, the stuff they need.
It's a big process, but you need time. And if you're casting and you need that actor next week, you can't get no one in a week. It takes a couple of months sometimes,
Yeah, and if a private person does it costs a lot of money to do so.
Oh, it's at least sort of $7,000-8,000 maybe, I think, yeah.
It's insane. No.
So you and the Casting Society of America, then you are, Cassandra, you are still doing a lot of production in America as well?
I mean, I would say I do about 70% German language projects now. And the rest, I just did UK casting for a project in the Philippines. I just had an Israeli project. I have a Turkish one. So it's kind of just international in the sort of generic sense of the word, but largely on the German market as well, yeah. Sometimes I do UK casting for a German project. That's often.
So later, just want to let you know, later on we're going to have a little bit Q&A, so you can get your questions ready already. Yeah? Lucy, I just wanted to ask you about finding the perfect balance between directors and the actors when you start your casting process. Well, how do you do it?
It's really interesting because every project is different. So you have to get into the universe of whoever you're working with. When they have work, you watch it. so that you know where they are. Sometimes I'm up all night because everything moves very quickly now. And I'm like, oh, I have to have this meeting with this director tomorrow and I haven't seen her work or I haven't seen his work, and I'm sitting there all night with matchsticks hoping my eyes open, because I think people's work speaks for them. Then you have a conversation, and then you have the conversation with the producer, and you know you have to find out what the role requires. And the roles are always different, and they might require a name, they might require new people, and then you try and work it, and then you try to make it fit. It's like, for me, being a casting director is like permanently having a puzzle. And I've always got lots of pieces and I'm trying to fit them in. And it's very important for all of the actors in the room to know that you can't change you, but you, for every role, but you will fit into the roles that you're right for. There are things that you can do and your agents can do, of course, but it's mainly trying to make sure that the landscape of the puzzle looks right. And so I think, oh, this person would be right for this director. You know, even things like when somebody says, I want a beautiful guy. Who I think is beautiful is not probably who the director thinks is beautiful. And so I have to get into their world. And it's very important to know that, you know, as casting directors, my philosophy is I'm not buying actors, I'm selling them. So I have to know who you really are authentically so that when I'm putting you forward, I have that information. That's why it's important to have an agent who keeps us updated. You've won an award. If there's anything that can make you feel more appropriate for a project, I need to know. And then I can fit you into my puzzle. So it's about understanding. It's a lot of listening, reading, documenting, and then just knowing talent. You know, and that's part of the thing that's very complicated at the moment for all of us, because there is so much being produced now. You know, before, when I started my career in Spain, in Catalonia, I knew all the actors because I watched the daily soap every day. And every single actor in Catalonia had been in the daily soap. So I really know Catalan actors because I watch them and I've seen them all playing the doctor, the nurse, the patient, the dying, the crying. And I went to the theatre a lot. So the people who weren't in the soap, I saw them in the theatre. But now there's hundreds of series and I can't watch them all. And time has changed since COVID. Like I work very long hours because I have to watch so many self-tapes. And we do watch the self-tapes, just so you know. And I also have to work on American time. And everybody has changed. Before, I'm very old, so I had a time in my life I worked before there was email. I used to fax to actors.
I had headshots and stuff.
And I had a big box.
And the bicycle messengers that ring your doorbell
Exactly.
with
I know.
And we used to send our castings by Federal Express.
I know.
To when I worked with people like Woody Allen, we had to buy him a DVD machine because the DVD machines in America didn't read DVDs in Europe. And every day I had to make DVDs and off they went. And then you prayed that the DVD was going to work when it got there.
That was Vicky Barcelona, which was a beautiful project, I have to say.
So it's just complicated, but it's complicated, basically. And we do the work. But I don't go to the theatre as much. That was the whole point of that, because I finish work too late. And I also like to have dinner.
occasionally. Yeah.
No, I always like to have dinner.
That's
my
good.
problem.
No, it's good
so
you
I'm
do.
always trying to work out how can I go to the theatre more and still have dinner, and how do I get to meet more actors. So that's why we do a lot of online stuff. I do a lot of meetings online. I come here, I see people.
You
but it's more
prefer,
difficult.
you both prefer live or the self-tapes?
Well, I mean, one thing that's great about self-tapes, I mean, to be honest, I was in Europe doing stuff in New York, so I was doing self-tapes way back in the early 2000s. But the great thing about self-tapes is it gives me, you know, I don't have a limited number of slots. And so I'm gonna take more chances, you know? If I've got eight slots, I'm gonna cover myself to be sure. So it's going to be more kind of in the middle of the tennis racket sweet spot, you know, and it's going to be probably some more like actors who have kind of proof of concept a little bit. Whereas when I do self-tapes, I can be like, wow, like, I don't know if this is going to work, but let's try. And very often that one that you wouldn't expect to work does. And I've even had a lot of situations where they change the role in the script to fit that actor, you know, who's like a little bit off the beaten track, just because it gives a fresh spin to the role. It's not the, you know, down the center. But one thing that's really, really important that I wanted to emphasize is I see what happens in Europe a lot is that so many people cast only by show reel. And I think this is so dangerous and a terrible, terrible thing because it keeps...
we love it.
Oh, sorry. You love it.
I said, let's get the best show reel. Yeah.
No, sure, of course. The show reel is a very important tool. But what happens is that, you know, if they play a doctor in the show reel, everybody's like, oh, of course, they're perfect for this lawyer role. But then if it's like, I don't know, like a more edgy character or somebody, you know, a completely different thing, then the powers that be are only looking at that and they discard that actor, and they shouldn't. So I really say to them, look, let me tape, let me experiment, let me do some exploratory. I had to sell it at the beginning. I called it like extracurricular casting, you know? And then I called it exploratory casting, which seemed to work. And then, you know, I'm like, look, let me show you the tapes when we have it. It's concrete, we can talk, and it's not like, oh, right, I saw them in a movie 10 years ago and I didn't really like it, you know? And this is what, so it's not so based on the producer or director's like subjective experience, which is completely random sometimes.
That was great. Thank you for the highlight. He gave me the finger. He said we only have 10 minutes. Huh? He gives me 2 hands. 50 minutes. So anyways, to all of you, the question regarding social media. You know, either you become a famous person or a person of non grata because you post the wrong stuff, you know, or you get fired from a project. Did this ever happen to you, or to you where you didn't take on an actor because he just had the wrong thing on there? Did that happen to you? What happened? I mean, you don't have to go into details, but it happened.
Well, you can cast somebody and then all of a sudden they get that stupid word cancelled, and then you can't hire them anymore, and that's really frustrating. Or you're about to put out a movie and then something happens to an actor when it's about to go out. So that can happen too. So social media is hugely important, but it's, how do I say it? I think it's really important to just put out the right messages of
That's
love.
okay, that's true. I mean, how do you both feel about it? Do you base your casting sometimes on your social media? I mean,
Can
not
I just
you.
drop in one? Can I just drop in one last thing? Yeah. Is it again? You know, when you're casting and then people say, financiers say, you know, how many likes or followers they've got. That's very frustrating.
Very.
Very.
I think we live in a world of social media now, and I keep changing. Every couple of months I do an audit, I think about it. I think social media is a very dangerous place. I was brought up by my parents, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything. And I think that you should apply that to social media as people who live in the public world. I think it's very, very difficult because I also believe in speaking up, but I don't know if Instagram is the place that I want to speak up. So it's working out your strategy. It's also, in terms of thinking about your long-term career, what's happened with Carla Gascon now in the run-up to the the Oscars. The Oscars.
Kind of like the Olympics.
Where she's been cancelled for, you know, tweets that she made a long time ago. Yeah. I do not agree with the sentiment behind her tweets, but everybody has a bad day. He comes from...
It's a long time ago, and it's a different language.
It's a different language.
I don't think your tweets were that bad, but we don't need to discuss that.
But we don't need to discuss that, but it's making sure that if you're an actor, be aware that people do check this out. So own your digital space. Yeah. The other thing and the thing I've changed a lot, I've been helping some of the actresses here this year who've been in competition, and when you're an actress, this is something else that is very complicated, you want to be given clothes to wear on the red carpet. All of the brands look to see how many followers you have. And it's the first time I've really thought about it. Because I don't cast by followers, I cast by talent. I don't give a shit what somebody has on their social media. But directors look, increasingly the directors I work with are in their 30s. Some of the best directors in Spain are in their 20s. And they've grown up with social media. You shouldn't try to get followers. Don't try to be an influencer. You normally get the followers because of the work that you've done. and then you choose what you do with them. So, but it's being aware and just owning your digital space. So audit yourself, make sure that you know what you're putting out there, and have a strategy so you know what your story is and how you want to tell it.
I get, I find it so frustrating because we so often, especially with streamers, at the last minute they'll just like throw in an influencer and try to, and it's like it's very, very hard to fight against. I find it really, it's worked a couple of times, but it's I asked, do you have data which says that more followers equal more eyeballs on the screen? And they said no. So it's really more a marketing thing, I think, but it's difficult. I think it's hard to fight against. That's the problem.
Me as an agent and you as an agent, what do you do?
I would say we are monitoring our actors and actresses more or less.
In the middle of the night. What did you just do?
What are you doing?
Why are you doing that?
Why are you up?
Now I'm just telling my actors and actresses that just promote your work, your job, and not so much private things. And because you have to save your private life, and don't post so much about your family. Post about the set, your jobs, your film, the history. And most of my actors and actresses, they follow it, and I don't have no problem. And we didn't have a problem like ever.
Yeah, but sometimes I do, like people ask me, can you send me their link? I'm like, what do you mean, link? I check out the link, I said, oh no, they don't have a link.
But also,
I can't find it. I cannot have everybody's link. Why should I have everybody's link?
Can I also add that I think not just about yourselves, but show up for the industry. Yes. Use your privilege. Use your privilege to highlight things like Afro Berlin. If you're in Berlin, show up as, don't just be a me. Show up for the industry, support other people, support the stories, because we need to kind of work towards so the world knows that people are interested in stories. Highlight other people.
Now we have a little bit more time. Bradley, I just wanted to ask you, how have you changed now with the diversity with your agency? What you have reached, I see your talent everywhere right now, leading parts. You've been working hard, and there too. And tell me the effect that you have been having.
Yeah, I would say we are just working hard from the get-go, and I just want to promote and motivate my people of reaching their goals, because we want to help them achieve their dreams, right? And most of my actors, they just say, I just want to go to Hollywood or whatever, and I say, okay, let's make a plan and let's work for it, and it takes some time.
But the TV landscape itself, they love your agency, and they're like, let us change the narrative of the script and hire your actors and change it.
Yes, when it comes to the diversity or the change, we are still making baby steps, I would say. I think the last 5 or 6 years it changed, but not that much that we can say it really changed like in France or in England or whatever. But we are getting there, but it would take some time. We are seeing the changes or the differences, but just like I said, we're doing baby steps. Like when it comes to this German landscape, still, I would say it.
Yeah, somebody has to do it. Does anybody want to say something else before I open it up to a Q&A? Yeah? So we're starting a Q&A. Interesting questions here.
Hi, everybody. I don't really have a question. I'm Joanna. I'm also from Berkeley Universe Agency. To answer your question, Caprice, it's like, I think our actors in our agency, we are like a family, and that is not just something that we promote on the outside. It's really, I just heard it from some of our actors, it is a family. We are celebrating the wins of each other. And actually, in our agency, all the actors and actresses know what each other is earning. And they're still applauding each other. So, yeah, and your very, 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 very first question about what has changed, I think that was, or how was it back in the day? I used to act in the Stone Age in Germany, and it's like Jared said at the beginning. It was always they always said we already have one actor, and they were afraid, and there were no stories told for POCs and black people. It's just like. Because we didn't own the spaces, we were not in the spaces. There were no authors, no producers, there was no diversity behind the camera. And I would say, I don't know if anyone agrees in here, but with the Black Lives Matter movement, it maybe not have changed anything back outside Germany, but in Germany there was the German Angst, and so they started casting. I would say, Black Universe, we founded it in 2017, and no one was interested. And then the murder of George Floyd happened, and suddenly, we need Black and POCs everywhere. And I always tell our actors and everyone in the industry I talk to, you know what, let's really work with the German Angst, just to get our foot in the door, and because when we're there, we stay there, of course. And I agree, Lucy. We have to promote each other. We have to work together.
One more question.
Thank you very much. Oh, that's a lot of bass. I want to thank you for taking these questions in and having this panel. That being said, I have to admit that I found this panel a bit generic. I would have wished for the title to be as promising, to have more to be told about inclusivity, and. That was the topic, right? You being the junction between the industry and the actors and actresses, what are your impulses you're able to set and you can set for inclusivity?
Like I said earlier, first, for me, it's really important at this point in the history of the world that we stop talking so much about inclusivity as representation and inclusivity in storytelling. It's very important that we choose to tell new stories and finance them. In casting, we have to... Well, let me finish first and then you can give it back to him. Yeah, it's very important, as you said, when we're talking about beyond the headshot, that we don't just look at somebody's photo, that we know the backstory, we know the stories that we're trying to tell. Of course, there's a lot of content that's there. In Spain, which is where I work, I'm very proud of the baby steps that we've made that are starting to give fruit. We've just done Walking Dead in Spain, and the casting is extremely representative of what I consider Spanish society to be. So we have people whose great-grandparents came from Equatorial New Guinea, but they are Spanish and they are playing Spanish roles. As casting directors, we are employed to do a job, and we try to do the job in the very best way. We're very aware that we need to help actors. Underrepresented groups often don't go to so many auditions. This is the slight problem we have with self-taping. We have to make sure that the underrepresented groups get more help so that when they're put forward to people, their self-tapes are as good. This is why agencies like Crawford, Black Universe, who really support their actors on the journey. Caprice has sometimes said to me, he didn't do a good job, he's doing it again. And this is what you need from agents with younger talent from wherever. Casting is complicated because we can only cast the roles that are on the page. So that's why we work towards trying to encourage producers to have interesting stories. For me, diversity is not, and it's the baby step diversity that I'm frustrated with at the time, where they say, oh, we need diversity in the project, so you're suddenly casting 3 minor roles to be diverse. That is not diversity. Diversity is when you have lead actors, interesting stories with backstories.
Thank you so much. I hope that answered your question. Kind of. Unfortunately, we have to go now. Time is ticking. There's another panel afterwards. Thank you so much for making this amazing panel here. I do have a little gift for you all up here. I have a little gift for you. Thank you so much.